Hey all, today's topic is teaching in international schools in China. It's meant for people who might be interested in moving to China. As I've mentioned before on the channel, most foreigners living in China are here on work visas, and one of the main fields in which foreigners work in China is education. Many teachers work in the large English as a foreign language field, but today I'm going to be talking about the somewhat more exclusive field of teaching in international schools. There are actually two slightly different types of international schools in China. The first type are traditional international schools. These schools teach an entirely foreign curriculum, though Chinese is usually included as a foreign language class. The great majority of them use English as their language of instruction, though there are a few that use another language, such as French, Japanese, or Korean. Those that do use English as their language often follow a curriculum from an English-speaking country.
For example, an American school will likely follow the U.S. Common Core standards, while a British school will follow the national curriculum for England. Others avoid a clear national flavor, usually following the International Baccalaureate or IB curriculum with no national curriculum behind it.
These international schools, regardless of their national curriculum or lack thereof, can only admit students who hold foreign passports or else Hong Kong or Macau identity cards. Local mainland Chinese children are not legally permitted to attend. The other type of international schools in China are variously called bilingual, international bilingual, or international Chinese schools.
These schools blend the Chinese national curriculum with a foreign language, usually English language curriculum of the sort we have already discussed.
They will teach the Chinese language using China's national curriculum in Chinese, and they'll teach the English language using a foreign curriculum in English. How they balance these two languages and their other subjects varies from school to school. They are permitted to accept both Chinese and foreign students, and the majority of their students will be Chinese students whose families have got the money to pay for their tuition. Because they have a much larger pool of potential students, these schools have been growing at much faster rates than traditional international schools, which are restricted to foreign students. New ones are opening up every year, often in conjunction with a foreign school, especially UK independent schools.
Among the well-known British schools that have branches in China now, some traditional international and some Chinese international, are Dulwich College, Wellington College, Harrow School, King's College School, and Hurtwood School.
This is a subfield that needs Anglophone teachers, and lots of them. So if you want to teach in China, this is something to look at. What qualifications do you need to teach in an international school? In general, a teaching qualification that permits you to teach in your home country. So for example, if you're from North America, you'll need a teaching certificate from a US state or Canadian province. If from the UK, you'll need at least a PGCE and preferably also qualified teacher status. Keep in mind that TESOL certificates, even good ones like the CELTA, are not sufficient. There are English as an additional language jobs in international schools, but they still usually require you to be a qualified teacher. International school jobs in China also require 2 years of school teaching experience.
The Chinese government requires this for visa purposes, though schools may actually prefer more experience, especially the more prestigious schools. Also, if your position is classified as an English teaching job, which includes both English subject teachers and pretty much all primary or elementary generalists, you'll need a passport from an English-speaking country.
If you get a job like this, what kind of benefits can you expect? Well, it varies from school to school, but here are some common ones. First, a salary which will likely be competitive with what you would get in your home country, particularly when considering China's mostly lower cost of living. And if you're from the United States, there's a good chance your salary will be more than you would be getting at home, particularly if you live in one of those states that pays teachers pennies.
I'm looking at you, Arizona. You will also usually have housing provided, whether in the form of on-campus housing, off-campus housing arranged and paid for by the school, or a housing allowance to pay rent for housing you arrange on your own.
This is a substantial benefit because it means you're not budgeting rent out of your salary. So even if you get about the same salary in China as you would in your home country, you're likely able to save a lot more money. If you have children of your own, the school will generally give them a place and allow them to study there tuition free, or else at a substantial discount. This is also important since studying at a local public school is not usually going to be a reasonable option for most foreign children.
Other than that, most schools will generally provide health insurance. China does not have a national health service, so you're looking at employer-provided health care, similar to how the US works.
The travel allowance to help cover the cost of your flight to China, and good schools will also provide a professional development allowance. What are some reasons you might want to teach in China and not in your home country? Well, there are quite a few. As I've said, if you want to save money, having your rent covered by your benefits package will usually help you save more. Having said that, there is plenty to spend money on in China, so you'll always be able to burn through your entire salary if that's what you want. Another reason you might like it is that maybe you want to see a different culture, especially one quite different to your own. If you're a Westerner, China will definitely fit that bill.
China is also, in normal times, a good place from which to explore other parts of Asia. Southeast Asia isn't far, and nor are Japan and Korea.
At this time, international travel isn't really happening due to the pandemic, but eventually things should return to normal. Are there any things you might not like about teaching in China? Well, first off, as with any line of work abroad, you might find it difficult to adjust. China is culturally very different to the West. Many people like the change, but some people may find the culture shock too great or may not enjoy being so far from home. Another thing that you may not like is that schools tend to be run more like businesses than we might like.
By and large, international schools in China are for-profit, and it may bother you when school administrators seem motivated by the bottom line.
Chinese students do have a reputation for being better behaved than Western students, but take that with a grain of salt. I have run into significant behavior issues in every school I've ever worked at in China, so your mileage may vary. If, after all that, you're interested in working in an international school in China, you're going to need to get your name out there and find a job. I have a video coming about that topic shortly, so if you don't want to miss that, this would be a great time to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye!